Join Kids Hut family.
Animals have such an easy life, dear. No school, no rules, no homework. What do they have to worry about?
Everybody has their troubles, Tofu. Let me tell you the story of Thumbelina. Once upon a time, a woman lived by herself in a faraway village. She was very lonely after her husband had died. She always wanted to have a child, but alas, she didn't have any. One day, she went to her friend who was a witch. The witch gave her a grain of barley and told her to go back home and plant it. The woman did as she was told. The next morning, a beautiful plant had grown from the seed. It had a lovely flower that looked like a tulip. The woman had never seen a flower like that and was mesmerized by its beauty. She gently kissed one of its petals. As she did that, the flower blossomed open. Inside it was a beautiful little girl, no bigger than the size of the woman's thumb. The woman instantly fell in love with her and called her Thumbelina. Thumbelina took away the woman's loneliness. In the day, she would tell her stories and talk to her. Sometimes she would make Thumbelina a boat out of a tulip petal which she could row in a plate full of water. At night, Thumbelina would sleep in a bed out of a walnut shell with a blanket made of a rose petal. One night, as she was sleeping, a frog came to her window and saw her. He thought to himself, "What a beautiful girl! She will make a lovely bride for my son." And so he grabbed Thumbelina and hopped away to his home. When his son saw his bride-to-be, he was very happy. "She is beautiful, father. I will marry her. But before that, I want to build her a beautiful house."
Okay, son. I will put her on the water lily in the middle of the pond till then. This way she will not be able to escape.
And so the frog put Thumbelina in the middle of the pond on a water lily leaf. Thumbelina tried to escape from her new home, but when she couldn't, she broke down crying. Two minnows were sitting under the same leaf and they heard her cry. They asked her about her troubles, and when she told them, they decided to help her. They nibbled away the lily stem. Soon it broke and floated away with Thumbelina. Just when Thumbelina thought she was free, a beetle came down and took her away to his home. He called over his friends to introduce them to his pretty prisoner. But the beetle's friends told him that she was too different than them and she didn't belong with them.
I agree. I think I should let her go.
And so he dropped her in the long grass and flower. Thumbelina was very happy that she was free from her captors. However, she still did not know where her home was. She spent many days in the grass and between the flowers. She would eat the pollen of the flowers and drink the dew from the leaves. One day, as she was walking, she stumbled upon a small house made of mud. It had a strange round entrance. She went up to it and knocked on the door. A mouse opened the door.
Oh, hello there. Isn't it cold out there for you today? Come in, please. Thank you so much.
Once Thumbelina was settled comfortably in the mouse's house, he asked her about who she was. Thumbelina told him her entire story.
Do not worry. You can stay here as long as you like.
So Thumbelina started staying in her newfound home. To make herself useful in the house, she would cook for the mouse and tell him stories. After a few days, the mouse said he had invited a guest over.
He is the richest mouse in all the land. He is a very good friend of mine.
That night, the mouse's friend came over for dinner. They all talked and had a very good time. During the course of dinner, the friend fell in love with Thumbelina and declared that he would marry her. Thumbelina had no choice but to go along with what was happening. When the friend offered to show her his home, she agreed to visit his house. And the three of them set off together. On the way, they entered a tunnel. There they found an injured swallow lying on the ground. The mouse's friend kicked it and rudely said,
Serves her right. What is she doing in the tunnels? He should have stayed in the air.
Thumbelina was shocked to see that someone could treat another like this. Unseen by the mice, she ran away from there. Once she was sure that the mice had left, she came back and attended to the swallow. She took great care of her. Till she was fit to fly again. It became spring by the time the swallow could fly again. She told Thumbelina,
I have to join my family and friends. They have flown away to a warmer place. I cannot stay here. Come with me.
But Thumbelina had had enough adventure and did not want to go anywhere else, and so the swallow flew away. A few months had passed when the love-struck friend of the mouse found Thumbelina again.
Oh, my beloved, I have been looking for you everywhere. Now I have found you and must marry you.
Thumbelina knew there was no way out of it for her, so she asked him if she could spend one last day out in the open air before she was confined to living the rest of her life underground with him. As she roamed in the open fields for one last time, she heard a familiar voice.
Come away with me, where your spirit will always be free.
Thumbelina saw her old friend who had returned for her. This time around, she agreed and hopped on the back of the swallow, and they took off. They flew over land and water and fields of green. When they reached the land of the flowers, the swallow landed Thumbelina on a beautiful flower petal.
This is the kingdom of the flowers, and that is their king.
Thumbelina saw a handsome young king with beautiful wings. He was surrounded by lovely flowers. As soon as she saw him, she knew she wanted to call this place home. Her presence attracted the king's attention. He too fell in love with her immediately. Will you marry me?
Yes.
As happiness spread across her face, she grew a beautiful pair of wings and became the Flower Queen.
Oh wow, dear. I don't know what I would do if I would land in such a strange world. I think I am happy where I am. Yay! We won! But why does Ron keep passing the ball to others? He's the best player on the team. He could make more goals if he just takes the ball all the way by himself.
No, Tofu. To win, you always need a team. Every player is equally important on the team. Come, I will tell you a story about the importance of teamwork. Once upon a time, a girl called Dorothy lived in Kansas City. She was playing with her best friend, a dog named Toto, when a scary cyclone came their way. Dorothy called out to Toto,
Toto, hurry! We have to get to the basement.
but before they could reach the basement, the cyclone lifted their house up and blew it away. After some time, it fell somewhere with a thud. When Dorothy stepped out of the house, she saw the house had landed on someone.
Oh no! Toto, help me! Who is she? The house has landed on her. I'm so sorry.
Just then, Dorothy and Toto heard people behind them rejoicing. They were the Munchkins.
Thank you, thank you. You have just saved us from the evil witch of the East. You have saved us all.
Just then, another witch appeared. She was the Good Witch.
Hello, Dorothy. You have done a great deed by saving all the Munchkins. Let me know if you need anything.
Thank you. Could you please tell me how to go back to Kansas City? That's where I used to live.
I can't do that, but I think the Wizard of Oz can help you with that. Just follow the yellow brick road. It will lead you straight to him. But before you go, take these red slippers that the evil witch of the East had. You might need them.
Dorothy thanked the Good Witch, took the slippers, and made her way on the yellow brick road with Toto. She had only walked a bit when she came across a scarecrow.
Hello, I am the Scarecrow. I have everything I want except a brain. My head is only filled with hay.
Hello, Scarecrow. I am going to the Wizard of Oz. Why don't you come with me? He might be able to help you.
And so Dorothy was joined by the Scarecrow. They had walked a few miles when they met the Tin Woodcutter.
I want a heart. When my maker made me, he gave me everything, but forgot to give me a heart. I wish he hadn't forgotten that. We are going to the Wizard of Oz. We are going to ask him for a way for Dorothy to get back to her home and for brains for me. Why don't you come with us?
And so the Tin Woodcutter also joined them. They had walked for some time when they heard Toto barking. They turned around to see that a lion had attacked Toto.
Get away from my dog, you nasty lion!
The lion whimpered and ran away to a corner.
Oh no! You aren't a brave lion at all, are you?
No, I have no courage. I wish I had some. We are going to the Wizard of Oz. We will ask him for a brain for the Scarecrow, a way for Dorothy to get back home, and a heart for me. Come with us. We will ask him for courage for you.
The lion agreed, and they all continued on the yellow brick road. They kept following the road and reached the Emerald City. They knocked on its big gates. A guard appeared.
The wizard doesn't meet anyone, but he has agreed to meet all of you.
And so all the friends went to meet the wizard. They told him how and why they had come to meet him.
Thank you, Dorothy, for freeing the lands from the evil witch of the East. But I will grant all your wishes when you free us from the evil witch of the West too.
The friends agreed to the wizard's terms and left to find the evil witch of the West. But the evil witch of the West had heard about what had happened to the evil witch of the East. She also knew about Dorothy and her friends' plan to kill her. She planned an attack on them. She sent a pack of her scariest wolves to stop them. The Tin Woodcutter stepped forward.
This is a job for me. Everyone, stay back.
The woodcutter hacked at the wolves with his axe till they all ran away. The wolves had just left when the skies became dark, and many crows started coming down to peck at them all. This time, the Scarecrow stepped forward and scared all the crows away. Next, the evil witch sent flying monkeys. Before anyone could do anything, the monkeys grabbed them all and took them to the evil witch's castle.
So, you've come to kill me, huh? How will you do that? The woodcutter is lying in a pile over the stones. I have emptied the Scarecrow and strapped the cowardly lion to pull my carts.
Oh, you are so evil! What a horrible person you are!
Saying so, Dorothy grabbed the bucket of water that was lying there and threw the water at the witch.
Oh no! You threw water over me? I am going to shrink and melt. Help me! I'm melting! Oh my God! I'm melting! Help me!
And so the evil witch of the West melted away. As that happened, all her slaves became free. They repaired the woodcutter, filled the Scarecrow with hay, and released the lion. Dorothy and her friends went back to the Emerald City. The Wizard of Oz welcomed them and granted the wishes of the Scarecrow, the Woodcutter, and the Lion.
What about my wish? How will I get back home?
You don't need me for that. You had the power all along. Just click your heels together thrice and tell the slippers where you want to go. They will take you there.
Though Dorothy was excited to go home, she was sad to leave her friends. She said a tearful goodbye to them. Then she picked up Toto in her arms and clicked her heels together 3 times and told her slippers to take her home. So you see, Tofu, if all the friends hadn't worked together, they would have not been able to defeat the evil witch of the West.
Yes, Tia. I now understand the importance of a team. Look at that man, Tia. He looks so scary. I wouldn't want to be around him.
That is not a nice thing to say, Tofu. Just because he scares you doesn't mean he's not kind and caring. Let me tell you a story of the Beauty and the Beast. The Beauty and the Beast. Belle lived in a village with her father Morris, who was an inventor. One morning, as she was returning from the market, a hunter named Gaston stopped her. Gaston was an arrogant young man. Everybody in the village knew he always got what he wanted. But no one ever dared stand up against him because his father was the village head. The only person who paid no attention to Gaston was Belle. But Gaston was obsessed with her and wanted to marry her.
Belle, let me walk you home.
Oh, Gaston. No, thank you. I can go home myself.
I insist. I have to talk to your father about something important too.
Belle continued walking, ignoring Gaston, who started walking with her. Once home, Belle quickly went inside.
Morris, Morris, come out. I have to talk to you. What is it? It is your lucky day. I am going to marry Belle. You have lost your mind. Go away, Gaston. Belle is never going to marry you.
Just then, there was a loud explosion in Morris's lab. And he took off towards it. Belle also ran towards her father's lab. Seeing that there was no one he could push around, Gaston left.
Papa, are you alright?
I have done it, Belle. My experiment was successful. I am leaving for the fair in the nearby village immediately. You will see, my child. People are going to love this.
And so Morris leapt on his horse Philip and rode off. But as he was crossing the forest, he got lost. After a few hours, Philip and he landed in front of a huge, lonely castle. There was no one in sight, so Morris tied Philip to a pole at the entrance and went inside the castle. It was pitch dark inside. A few candles were lit in the corners.
Hello? Is anyone here? I am lost. Can you help me?
A large shadow came across the wall. As it came into light, Morris saw that it was not a man, but a huge, angry beast with an ugly scar across his face.
How dare you enter my castle? You need help? I will help you. I'm sorry. I will leave immediately.
And Morris started running back the way he had come. But the beast got him and started dragging him. He took him down the staircase and locked him in the dungeon.
Please let me go. Please let me go. You will stay here forever. This dungeon is your world now.
A whole day had passed and Morris hadn't returned. Belle got worried and decided to go to the nearby village to look for her father. But she too got lost in the forest and landed up at the same castle. Philip was still there, tied to the pole. Belle decided to go inside, just in case her father was there.
Hello? Papa? Anybody here?
How dare you enter my castle? Get out right away before I lock you in the dungeon too.
Suddenly, the beast moved out of the shadows and stood in front of Belle. She was terrified of him, but dared not run. Somewhere from far away, she could hear another voice. It was her father.
Please let me go. Let me go, please. Open this door. Let me go, please.
Do you have my father? Can you please let him go?
Hey, what are you saying?
I will stay instead of him. Please let him go.
Hearing this, the beast took Belle's hand and dragged her up the stairs. He led her into a huge room.
So be it. Your father is free, and you shall be my prisoner forever.
And so it was. No matter how much Morris protested, the beast threw Morris out of the castle and into the forest with Philip. When dinner time came, Belle did not join the beast for dinner. Instead, she stayed in her room crying. The beast entered her room and said,
If you are going to stay in this castle, you have to follow its rules. You are expected at dinner. Don't you dare miss it next time.
You are a monster! You didn't even let me see my father one last time! Go away! I hate you!
Seeing Belle heartbroken, the beast felt bad. He pulled out a hand mirror from his coat and gave it to her. In the mirror, she would be able to see whomever she wanted to see at that moment. Belle looked into the mirror and saw her father finally leaving from the castle and riding into the forest. But to her horror, she saw he and Philip had suddenly been attacked by a pack of wolves. She gave out a loud cry and ran downstairs out of the castle gates and towards her father. Soon, she found herself and her father Morris surrounded by ferocious wolves. Just as the wolves were about to attack Belle, a large paw grabbed one of them by the neck and threw it away. The wolves now turned on the beast, who had decided to follow Belle and help her save her father. The beast scared them off, but not before they had bit into his arm and injured Morris too. He put Morris on Philip, who took off riding as soon as his master was secure. The beast tried to walk towards the castle but fainted and fell. He woke up 2 days later to find Belle sitting by his bedside in his room. The wounds on the arm had been bandaged.
You didn't go?
You are awake! I hope you're feeling better. Thank you for saving our lives.
Over the next few days, Belle nursed the beast back to health. As they spent time together, Belle realized that he wasn't as mean as he appeared to be the first day they had met. In turn, the beast learned to change his ways and became gentler and kinder. Soon they became very good friends. One day, Belle asked the beast if she could see her father in the mirror. The beast agreed and gave her the mirror. In the mirror, Belle saw all the villagers storming her house. They thought that Morris had gone mad and wanted to send him to the doctor. Nobody believed him when he kept insisting that Belle had been kept as a prisoner by a beast. Worried about her father, Belle requested if she could go to the village for a day just to save her father. And though the beast knew that she might never return, he agreed.
Go, but take this mirror with you. In case you ever want to see me.
Once Belle reached her house, she stood between her father and the villagers and tried to explain the truth. But the angry mob, led by Gaston, who wanted revenge from Maurice and Belle for turning his wedding proposal down, wouldn't listen. Gaston grabbed Belle's hand and tried to get her out of the way. As she struggled to free herself, the beast's mirror fell out of her pocket. In it was the beast, looking right at them all.
Goodness! She's shown the beast the way to the village. We must go and kill him before he comes here.
The angry mob started marching towards the castle with fire torches and swords. They left behind Maurice and Belle locked up in their house. Soon they stormed the castle gates. Gaston went upstairs and challenged the beast to a fight. But the beast had had a change of heart. He did not wish to fight. So he came out of the balcony unarmed and tried to talk to the villagers. But Gaston wouldn't have it. He wanted to kill the beast, and so he attacked him. His sword pierced through the beast's stomach. Shocked, the beast swung his arm to protect himself. Scared, Gaston stepped backwards and fell off the balcony and died. Somehow, Belle had escaped from her house. And reached the balcony just as the beast fell on the floor.
I love you, Belle.
I love you too. Please don't go.
Suddenly, the castle lit up with thousands of candles. As Belle still lay crying by the beast, he turned into a handsome young prince.
Belle, it's me. You freed me from the witch's spell. To break the spell, I had to love and win the love of another. You loved me even though I was a beast. You saved me, Belle. You saved me. It really is you?
As they hugged each other, they saw the rest of the castle and the forest bloom with beautiful trees and flowers. So you see, Tofu, you should never judge people by the way they look.
I'm sorry, Tia. I will always remember this now.
Tia and Tofu are going on a school trip while traveling in the bus.
I am so excited, Tia. This is my first school camp. It'll be so much fun.
Tofu, I know you are excited, but you should remember what parents told us. We have to be safe and careful throughout.
Tia, I am a big boy, and this is my first adventure. I'll be cautious throughout, I promise. I am so happy we are going together. La 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 la.
It's a camp, Tofu, so I don't want you wandering around alone at all. We'll have lots of fun, but we'll stick together and be like a team. Like Batman and Robin, like Hansel and Gretel.
Hansel and Gretel? I haven't seen that movie.
It's not a movie, little one. It's a story of two siblings, just like us. I think this is the best time for me to tell you this story. So, sit tight. Hansel and Gretel. Once, a poor woodcutter had a son and a daughter named Hansel and Gretel. One day, they get an evil stepmother. One night, the stepmother tells the woodcutter,
The kids eat too much. We'll be starving soon. So let's leave the children in the forest and get rid of them.
What are you saying? No!
But the wife was very persistent, and she kept talking until he was convinced. Hansel overhears their conversation. So that night, Hansel goes out and collects shiny white stones.
We'll find our way back home. Stop crying, Gretel. Hansel, tomorrow we are going to die. What do we do? Don't worry, we will survive. Good night, Gretel.
Hansel hides the stones and sleeps. The next morning, the stepmother takes the kids to the forest. Hansel keeps dropping stones on the ground, thinking, we can follow these stones home.
Children, wait by this big tree. Just sit quietly here, and I'll be back to get you.
But she never comes back to get them.
Let's wait for nightfall, Gretel. I dropped a trail of white stones all the way here. So, with the moonlight shining on them, we could get back home. I am so scared.
So at night, Hansel and Gretel follow the shiny stones out of the forest. The stepmother was secretly angry. A few days later, the stepmother again tricks the children.
Let's go have a picnic in the forest. Here, take this bread to eat later. We'll go in the morning.
This time, the stepmother locked their room at night, and so Hansel couldn't pick up any shiny stones. Next morning, on their way to the forest, Hansel crumbled his bread and left a trail of crumbs instead. Deep in the forest.
This looks like a good spot.
You both can take a nap here while I go and cut some wood. Hansel and Gretel knew she wouldn't come back again. They slept. And waited for nightfall again. When they woke up, the birds and wild animals had eaten up all the crumbs.
Now we will never find our way home. I am so upset for us, Gretel. Hansel, don't lose hope. Let's walk and maybe we find our home.
After walking the entire day, they find a small house.
Look there! A cookie house! Wow! Oh, the house is made of chocolate with a roof of cake and sugar windows. Come, come!
The hungry children didn't even stop to think.
I want a big piece of the cake roof. Yum!
Suddenly, they hear a voice.
Children, come inside. You seem hungry. I'll make you yummy food right now.
The lady was an evil witch. The kids go in the house with her.
It's a trap. I like to eat kids. I made this house to lure you in. Now I'll fatten the boy up and make a tasty treat for myself.
Her eyes were red. She had terrible eyesight, but a good sense of smell. She locks Hansel in a cellar. She makes Gretel do all the housework, all the chores. Hansel and Gretel cried and begged, but she had no mercy on them.
Come on, girl. Cook something delicious for your brother. He should be fat enough to be cooked by the end of this month.
A week passed. Hansel ate delicious food, while Gretel was always hungry. Every morning, the old witch went to Hansel's cellar and shouted,
Show me your fingers, boy. Let me check how much fatter you've gotten.
But Hansel would always stick out a little bone for her to feel, because the witch couldn't see very well. She was furious that Hansel was staying so thin. One day, she lost her patience and shouted at Gretel,
I don't care anymore. I'll cook thin Hansel today and eat him anyhow. And start the oven.
Gretel had no choice, and she started doing what the evil witch told her.
Now get in and see if the water is boiling enough.
How can I get inside the oven? Please show me so that I can check the water.
Stupid girl. What is wrong with you? It's so easy. Look, you just need to step here and... Gretel cleverly pushed the old woman in the oven and shut the door. The vicious witch burned to a crisp. Gretel rushed to the cellar and set Hansel free.
Hansel, my dear brother, the witch is dead. Now let's run out of here and find our home.
How happy they were! While running out of the house, they saw wooden chests all over in the witch's room. They were filled with gems and gold. The children filled their pockets with as many gems as possible and left the house. Hansel and Gretel walked for a few hours when they got to a bridge that they knew well and was close to their house.
Look! Father! Father!
Hansel and Gretel could finally see their father at the porch, looking miserable because his wife had died.
My dearest children, I'm so happy you both are alive. I am sorry for letting you go.
The three hugged, and precious gems started to fall out of Gretel's pockets. Both the children emptied their pockets in their father's lap. They told their father about the evil witch and how they got her treasure.
Oh my God, I am happy my kids came back safe. I will never leave you alone now.
Finally, they could have a carefree life and lived together, happily ever after.
Ooh, witches are scary. We are about to reach the forest camp very soon. Don't leave my hand when we go hiking in the forest. I want us to be like Hansel and Gretel. I promise not to go anywhere alone. Does this forest have a cookie house or a witch, Tia?
Tofu, it's just a story. Hansel and Gretel shared an adventure like a team. Don't worry about any witch. It's just a camp. I hope we find a cookie house like Hansel and Gretel.
Cookie house, yum! That sounds wow! I am hungry now. Give me the chocolates from the bag, Tia, please.
Tia, I'm getting bored. Will you please stop reading and talk to me? Bored? How can you get bored, Tofu? Why don't you write a story of your own? I can't think up a story, Tia, especially when I'm so bored. Looks like you haven't heard of Alice in Wonderland. Alice in Wonderland. One sunny day, Alice was sitting next to her sister while she was reading. Her sister had been reading books all morning and Alice was very bored now. She thought for a while and decided to ask her sister to stop reading. She was about to do that when she saw a little white rabbit with pink eyes run past her.
I am late! I have to hurry! I am late!
Saying so, he ran into his rabbit hole. Alice was suddenly interested in this turn of events and she decided to follow the rabbit. She went to his rabbit hole and peered down it. Suddenly, the hole gave away and Alice fell into it. She kept falling for what seemed like a very long time.
Will I ever stop falling? What kind of a strange hole is this?
At last, she landed with a thud in a big empty room. The room had 3 doors of different sizes. She saw the rabbit outside the smallest door before it closed shut. But the door was very tiny, no bigger than Alice's new pencil back home.
I must get on the other side of that door. But how will I do that? It is so small.
Then Alice noticed a small table in the corner of the room. She went to it to find a small bottle of pink potion with the label "Drink Me" on it. Next to it was a small little key, the size of the smallest door's lock.
I think this key belongs to that door. I wonder what this potion will do to me. Let me try.
And so Alice took the key in one hand and drank the potion from the bottle. Suddenly, Alice could no longer see the top of the table. The empty bottle of the pink potion became too heavy for her and fell out of her hand. She was shrinking.
What is happening to me? I am shrinking.
Once Alice was small enough to go through the smallest door, the shrinking stopped. Alice quickly ran to the door, opened it, and ran out. She found herself in the most beautiful garden she had ever seen. But she could not enjoy it because she was so tiny and all the flowers and plants were so big.
Oh, I wish I was bigger.
Hearing her, the white rabbit came to her and ordered her rather rudely,
Go to my house and get my gloves and fan.
Alice didn't know why the rabbit was so rude to her. Perhaps he didn't like being followed. Nevertheless, she decided to follow the instructions because she was curious and wanted to see the rabbit's house. When she entered the rabbit's home, she saw a yummy-looking cake on the kitchen top. It had a sticker on its plate that said, "Eat me." Alice was really hungry by now. She'd even missed lunch, so she decided to eat the cake. As soon as she took one bite, she started growing again. Soon, she would not fit into the house. She could not see the rabbit's gloves anywhere, but grabbed his fan and decided to run out of the house. As soon as she came out, she started shrinking again.
Oh no! What is this? Will I ever be back to my normal size again?
One of my mushroom makes you grow tall, and the other side makes you shrink. Alice turned to see who was talking to her. It was a caterpillar sitting on a mushroom. She quickly ate a piece from the side he was pointing and came back to her normal size. She thanked him for his help and asked,
How do I get back home? Could you please tell me that? That path leads to the Mad Hatter and the other one to the rabbit's home.
This time it was a cat that sat in the tree that spoke. Alice thanked him and took the path to the Mad Hatter. She didn't want to meet the rude rabbit again.
I will meet you in the evening at the Queen's palace.
Halt. To go further, you must answer my question correctly.
Oh, I love riddles. Please do ask me a question.
Tell me, why is a raven like a writing desk?
Alice thought for a while, but she did not know the answer to the riddle.
Oh, I don't know the answer to your question. Could you tell me why?
The Mad Hatter was taken aback. Never had anyone asked him the answer to his own riddle.
Oh well, I don't know either. We don't know anything here. You can go ahead on the path.
Hence, Alice proceeded to the Queen's castle, where a game of croquet was on. The Queen was very unkind and unreasonable. If she didn't like someone, she would instruct her soldiers to be off with his or her heads immediately. Her guards had made a mistake earlier in the day, and so she had turned them into cards for the game. When the Queen saw Alice, she instructed her to play with her. You will play croquet with me, and if I lose, it will be off with the head for you.
Yes, Your Majesty.
Alice was very careful. But the Queen was terrible at the game, and Alice had to try really hard to lose.
Ha! You lost. If I like, I will have your head for it.
A trumpet sounded far off, and the White Rabbit hopped forward.
The royal court is now in session, and you will be tried.
Tried? For what? I haven't even done anything.
You have been accused of stealing heart-shaped tarts from the Queen's kitchen. First, you don't know how to play croquet, and then you dare steal tarts from my kitchen? You should be punished. Off with her head.
This is silly. I haven't even stolen anything. I just reached the castle and started playing with the Queen.
She looked at the White Rabbit, the Mad Hatter, the Caterpillar, and the Cheshire Cat. They were all looking at her and smiling.
What is going on?
Alice felt someone tapping her arm. It was her sister.
Wake up, Alice. You fell asleep sitting next to me. It's time for lunch.
What a strange dream I had. I promise I will never complain of being bored while you read. That is such a strange story, Tia. Next time you sit to read, I too will write my own story instead of getting bored.
Okay, but I have to be the first one you tell it to. Okay, Tofu?
Yes.
For your favorite rhymes, stories, and more, join Kids Hut family. Subscribe here.